Joy.
Quorum.
We have a
Well,
quorum.
we're going to find out. I think we have a quorum, just looking at how many folks are here, do we?
Yes, we have a quorum.
All right, so let's get going. And thank you for being here tonight for our Board of Directors meeting and for being in such good spirits. I know we've all been sheltering in place for a long time. And this group seems to be handling it extremely well, as far as I can tell from this evening. So let's
just wait an hour.
It might be because we're not having tomatoes thrown at us, or because we don't have someone standing at the podium telling us what idiots we are. You know, things like that.
That can improve one's attitude, it's true. We still get email, however. All right, let's have a roll call, Darlene.
All right. Belvedere. Benicia.
Here.
Here.
Did I hear Belvedere?
Here.
Yes, thank you. Benicia.
Here.
Concord.
Here.
Contra Costa County. Puerto Madera.
Here.
Danville. El Cerrito.
Greg Lyman.
Fairfax.
Here.
Lafayette.
Here.
Larkspur.
Kevin is on.
He's here. I saw him.
He's muted.
On mute. County of Marin.
Here.
Martinez. Moraga.
Here.
County of Napa and all 5 Napa cities.
Here.
Novato.
Here.
Oakley.
Here.
Pinole. Pittsburgh. Richmond.
He's on the phone.
I know. Yeah, I see him. Thank you. Ross.
Here.
San Anselmo.
Here.
San Pablo. San Rafael, City of San Rafael. San Ramon.
Here, Scott Perkins.
Sausalito and Mill Valley.
Here, Ray Withy.
County of Solano.
Here.
Tiburon. Walnut Creek.
Here.
Thank you.
And Kevin Haroff, did you want an opportunity to express that you were here, although we saw you?
Yeah, no, I was about to do that. Can you all hear me now?
Yes,
at this point?
we can.
I don't know why I was muted, because I'm on my phone as well as on the video, so I think it just gets confused. So I am here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. And everybody knows the drill. If you aren't speaking, it's good to be on mute. So if you get that inclination to throw your cat against the wall, we won't hear the screaming. All right. So
I don't have a cat.
Well, then we're safe. You can leave yours open then, Ken. No need to mute, Kevin.
All right, good enough.
All righty. Any board announcements from anybody? Okay. Do we have any public, bless their souls, who would like to make a comment on items not on the agenda? Okay. I'm going to take that as a no. Report from the Chief Executive Officer. Dawn, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to see all of your faces. Thanks to everyone for taking the time to join tonight. I know a lot of you have been on calls all day. I know it can be exhausting. So I'll run through this as quickly as possible. I wanted to make sure folks are aware that our enrollment in unincorporated Solano County is now complete. And we are really excited to be providing service in that new community. We've had a lot of dialogue through virtual meetings and other interface with customers, and everything's going smoothly so far. It's a great community, a lot of good interaction. And our energy efficiency programs are a big hit, particularly the ag programs in that community. So we're excited to see more happening on that front. I wanted to introduce our newest board members who were sworn in just this week at an orientation that we held on the 18th. Director David Kuhnhart, who you can see here representing town of Corte Madera. Thanks so much for being with us. And also his alternate, Mayor Eli Beckman, was also sworn in at the orientation. And then from the town of Ross, we have Director William Kirscher, or Bill Kirscher, and we are really excited to have both of you joining the board. So thank you for being with us tonight and joining the board.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Don.
Yeah. Great. And then I wanted to let folks know that we are looking forward to welcoming our newest board additions from Vallejo and Pleasant Hill, probably by next month's board meeting. So those two communities are in the process of designating their board representatives. So we're hoping to have them join us by June. And then, as you probably know, MCE is celebrating our 10-year anniversary this month. And there have been a number of activities to commemorate the milestone. You may notice the Zoom backgrounds that many of our MCE staff are using this evening. If you're interested in an MCE Zoom background, we can certainly send you one. We also hope all of you received the commemorative 10-year anniversary pin, which is looks like this. They were mailed to you. Oh, good. I see a lot of folks wearing them this evening. We didn't have personal addresses for all of you, so if you're not getting your mail at your city or town or county, they may be waiting for you there, but we do have one for every board member. We've also had a number of activities, blog posts, a little bit of media activity around the anniversary, and we'll be continuing to commemorate the anniversary through some other events later this year. We had planned an in-person celebration in September, but we are transitioning our planning now to look at how we might be able to do virtual events and other ways of celebrating the anniversary. But it's great to be at the 10-year mark and be the, the old kids on the block now instead of the new kids on the block. The next, I wanted to let folks know that as far as the COVID-19 response, MCE is continuing to have remote work for all staff. That's been going relatively smoothly thanks to our great team and a great IT setup that we had in place really before this all started. Having the two office setup really had prepared us well for virtual interface in meetings and work and planning. So that's going smoothly. All of our community meetings have been transitioned to remote access. And then I know some of you might be interested in hearing how COVID-19 is impacting our load. We're an electricity company, and we've been tracking that very carefully. And so I just wanted to let folks know that, we're seeing what you would expect. There's been a marked decrease in business commercial load and a counterbalancing increase in our residential load. Overall, our load is down between 5% and 8%. So it's a pretty modest decrease overall. Statewide, the load impact seems to be much more exaggerated. We're seeing closer to a 20% load impact across the state. So we're tracking this carefully. We don't get actual data until many weeks after the fact. So we'll have new information by our June board meeting and let you know if there are any big adjustments there. There have also been some adjustments on the customer revenue side, and so we'll be bringing more information to you as we get further into the year related to all of those impacts. But MCE is continuing to stay relatively healthy and strong, and we're confident that we're going to make it through this year, continuing to do a lot of our good work. With that in mind, I wanted to note that MCE is offering free EV charging at our San Rafael office parking lot. That lot isn't getting used by staff these days, and so as the community is trying to get a little bit of business activity happening again, we're providing a free place for folks to charge up if they need to. Feel free to spread the word. We're doing the same. And then I wanted to let folks know that on the transactional front, our open season request for offers resulted in a number of shortlisted bidders that were presented to our ad hoc contracts committee just last week. And those will ultimately be making their way to our technical committee for approval, probably in the late summer or fall. So stay tuned for more information on that, but we're really excited about the bidders that came in on that. And we're looking at some projects that will probably include solar and storage. And so we're excited about that process. And the last comment I wanted to make is just to remind folks to unmute, and if you want to speak, and stay on mute when you're done speaking. If you can, that'll help with feedback. And if you're not able, you can use the raise your hand feature in Zoom here. But I know that our chair will also be pausing periodically for comments if you're having trouble using that button. And that's it for my report. Happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you, Dawn. Any questions for Dawn? Comments? No? All right. Anyone from the public out there in the ether who would like to comment? No? All righty. We're going to move on to the next item on our agenda, which is our consent
I
calendar.
thought I saw Greg raise his hand.
Oh, I'm
For the
sorry.
consent item.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Greg. Thanks for the help on finding people who are raising hands. So Greg, we'll move on to the consent. Did you have something that you wanted to say about that?
I do. In reading through C3, which is the voting shares, I noticed that both attachment C and attachment D are updated. However, the staff report only asked us to modify or approve attachment D, and I think it should be both attachment C and attachment D.
I can respond to that because I had the same question when I first looked at that package. And the reason for that is that attachment D is the item that is required in our JPA document that we update on an annual basis. But attachment D is informed by the load breakdown, which shows up in attachment C. So we always include attachment C as a reference point, just so folks can see what the raw data looks like. But the formal requirement in our JPA agreement is simply to update Exhibit D. So hopefully that helps clear up any confusion. Maybe we can be more explicit with that next time around in the staff report.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, attachment C is called out for in the JPA agreement. We're revising attachment C to be November of 2019. So I don't understand why this motion can't just update both attachments.
I would certainly be fine to include both in the motion.
Okay. With the chair's permission, I would like to have the attachment, the consent item reflect that both attachment C and D are changing for the JPA.
Absolutely. I think that seems like a good idea. It makes it clearer for everybody going forward.
I'll
I'd
second
be
the
happy
motion.
to second that motion,
Okay,
Kevin.
super. So is that a motion just to,
I will approve the consent calendar with modification to attachment C as seconded by Kevin Haroff.
perfect, thank you. All right, we had a motion and a second, and Darlene, I think we need to do a roll call vote.
Yes. Who made the motion, please?
Greg Lyman, El Cerrito.
Thank you. Thank you. Belvedere,
Yes.
Benicia,
Yes.
Concord,
Yes.
Contra Costa County, Puerto Madera,
Yes.
Danville, El Cerrito,
Yes.
Fairfax.
Yes, just one question. Did we go for public comment?
Well, having
Yes.
tried it twice and determined there was no public, I just kind of slid right on
Oh,
by that, Barbara,
I'm sorry.
but I can ask.
Okay,
Caught me. You
I'm
caught
an aye.
me.
Fairfax. Lafayette.
Yes.
Fairfax was aye.
Thank you. Larkspur,
Yes.
County of Marin,
Yes?
Martinez, Moraga,
Yes.
County of Napa and all 5 Napa cities,
Yes.
Novato,
Yes.
Oakley,
Yes.
Pinole, Pittsburgh, Richmond,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
San Anselmo,
Yes.
San Pablo,
Yes.
San Rafael,
Yes.
San Ramon,
Yes.
Sausalito and Mill Valley,
Yes.
County of Solano,
Yes.
Tiburon, Walnut Creek.
Aye.
Thank you.
Great, super. Thank you, everyone. So next on our agenda is the Charles McGlashan Advocacy Award, which is always such a pleasure every year. And I think there was a time we were optimistic in our hope that we were going to be able to do this award in person. But the way that the world is these days, it seemed at this point just fine to go ahead and add this on the agenda for a virtual meeting. So here we are. And Justin, I think, are you or Dawn, who's going to tee this up?
I have no problems issuing the
for
report. Justin or Don, you have
the presentation up.
You have something to say beforehand?
Yeah, Justin is going to get us started, and during the course of the presentation, we're going to be looking for our two board representatives to weigh in.
Yes, thank you so much. We have a very short presentation and also a little treat to highlight the award winners. But good evening and thank you everyone to the board directors. My name is Justin Marquez. I'm MCE's Community Equity Specialist, and I also organize our Community Power Coalition. And it's my distinct honor to present the 2019 McGlashan Award winners. As most of you already know, the Charles F. McGlashan Advocacy Award recognizes individuals and organizations who have demonstrated passion, dedication, and leadership on behalf of MCE. And the annual award also honors and commemorates the life and legacy and environmental leadership left behind by former founding MCE Chairman Charles F. McGlashan. As Director Sears pointed out, this is an unprecedented presentation of these award winners. However, we are still so excited to present these advocates who have done incredible work across our service area. And we're really excited to honor these 2019 recipients today and welcome them to this meeting. And to celebrate the award winners this year, we've asked Director Sears and Director Waddell to help us highlight the extraordinary work of our advocates. So Enyo, if you could hit the next slide. Thank you, Enyo. Yes, perfect. And so before we actually present the award winners and highlight the work that they've done, we wanted to start with the creativity of our advocates is just great. And we wanted to share the parody song, Why MCE, which is a surprisingly informative as well as fun song that demonstrates all the benefits, community benefits of going deep green and why all of us have the ability to do our part in fighting for sustainability in our communities. So one of the lyrics that we pulled out is, no one does it all by themselves. I said, dear friend, what if all of us help and just opt up to deep green MCE? With deep green, we all will feel free. And Enyo, if you could play the clip so that folks can better hear and understand the message of why MCE.
Dear friend, give yourself a big lift. I said, dear friend, give the earth a great gift. I said, dear friend, for our kids and grandkids, choose deep green and you'll be happy. Dear friend, the best thing you can do. I said, dear friend, the best thing to pursue. You can choose it. Just the wind and the sun, they are our choice number one. Deep green's the answer to YMCE. Deep green's the answer to YMCE. It's so easy for you. It's It's so easy to do. You have features you will enjoy. It's great to opt up, so YMCE. It's great to opt up, so YMCE. You can go to Deep Green. It's the right thing to do. It's clean energy that renews.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Enyo. And as you can see, this of course was written and produced by two of our award winners, the National Council for Jewish Women Contra Costa section and Sustainable Rossmore. So Enyo, if you could hit the next slide. Excellent, thank you. And to highlight the work of these two organizations, we've invited Director Justin Waddell, Walnut Creek City Council member, to highlight the incredible work of those two orgs. Director Waddell.
Justin. Thank you. This year, the National Council for Jewish Women Contra Costa section, working together with Sustainable Rossmore, have been present at over 13 community meetings, including farmers markets, the Activities Council of Rossmore, the Democrat Club of Rossmore, and the Rossmore Newcomers Club. They created their own Deep Green group t-shirts, and of course wrote that wonderful YMCE song that we just listened to, calling out all the attributes of being 100% renewable energy. The group has inspired over 38 individuals to sign up for MCE Deep Green since mid-September 2019. For their creative and impassioned commitment to promoting deep green and climate action in their communities, they have been awarded the 2019 Charles McClaskin Advocacy Award. Congratulations.
Thank you, Director Waddell. And Enyo, if you could go to the next screen, please. And here we are. And as an example of their creativity, they've also created their own t-shirts to support Deep Green. So again, just having advocates that really go above and beyond to support the mission of MCE and our products like Deep Green. And those are the two certificates that we mailed to our award winners this year. If you could go to the next slide, please, Enyo. And now to present our third winner, we've invited Director Kate Sears, Marin County Supervisor. If you could please highlight the work of Gloria Castillo.
Hey, thank you so much. It's really my pleasure to tell you a little bit about Gloria Castillo. Gloria has gone above and beyond her former role as the Housing Project Coordinator with the Canal Alliance, a nonprofit organization that empowers residents of the Canal District in San Rafael. Gloria now serves as a case manager for Canal Alliance, but prior to this work, she managed the Marin Villa Estates property in the Canal District and worked to build support for MCE's programs, even coming along with MCE staff on a survey collection and income verification visit to the property so residents would feel more comfortable. Thanks to Gloria's assistance, Marin Villa Estates received a total of $55,228 in blended funding from the Multifamily Energy Savings Program, the Low-Income Families and Tenants, or LIFT program, the Income Qualified Multifamily Solar Rebate Program, and Green and Healthy Homes Initiative, Marin. For her dedication to the Canal District community and commitment to MCE's mission, she's awarded the 2019 Charles F. McGlashan Advocacy Award. And I gotta tell you, Gloria is a force of nature beyond the assistance that she's given to MCE. So this is really terrific that we're able to honor her.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Director Sears. And I believe we've invited the award winners to join us at this board meeting and be recognized. So I do want to call out that I think we have representatives Rose Jackson from the National Council for Jewish Women Contra Costa section, Brad from Sustainable Rossmore, and Gloria Castillo from Canal Alliance on us with us. So thank you to all three of our winners for your incredible work. And thank you to the board of directors for honoring them and supporting the work of our advocates in our communities.
And did we say how fabulous that song is? I think this sets a new bar for all of our applicants and awardees that we consider in the years ahead. It's really great.
So this is Kevin Harrell. I just wanted to recognize our Napa representative for his enthusiasm and listening to that song. It was fun to watch, and our new representative from Walnut Creek for having the good taste of wearing a tie. And congratulations to the winners. It's really terrific. This is one of the highlights of the year. To be able to recognize people who are contributing to our mission, it really is wonderful. Thank you.
I'm Rose Jackson, and I'm the president of the National Council of Jewish Women. And I'm thank you so much to honor us, because this was an initiative that I started and then combined the Sustainable Rossmore with it. And our goal for the National Council of Jewish Women is to provide a better life for women, children, and families. And I thought, you know, doing something to help the environment would be a way to do this. And fortunately, I'm married to a musician, and one of the ladies on my team wrote the lyrics. My husband and 2 other people on the team recorded it. He's a clarinet player. So thank you. It was a lot of fun. They did a great job. I have to thank them. I'm a non-musician, but they really made it all come together. And thank you. I really appreciate this.
Great job, Rose.
Congratulations.
May I make a quick comment? This is Brad Waite, President of Sustainable Rossmore. And I've got to confess that the Sustainable Rossmore really doesn't deserve anywhere near the credit for this. It was almost all Rose Jackson, because she's a member of both organizations, and she was the driving force. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you. You're welcome.
That's great. Any other comments from folks? This award is so important because really, you know, Marin Clean Energy, as it was called back in the day 10 years ago, never would have gotten off the ground without our good community activists and the support that we had from our community. And that's been true every step of the way for the last 10 years. And we literally would not be here but for the activism of people in all of our member communities. So, and it's wonderful for us to get to meet some of you in communities where we don't live and find out what the good work that you've been doing. So thank you so much. Was there anyone else who wanted to say something? Okay, all righty.
I've said enough. It's Kevin.
Let's
Thank you.
do that. Or the something. All right. And at some point we'll be able to see everybody in person and give you a big congratulatory hug, but we don't know when that might happen. All right. So from this sublime moment, we're going to move on to something that may seem a little less sublime, but is important, which is our new board member addition to committees. Dawn, do you want to talk?
I'll just
I know. There's no song to go with it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, maybe we could work on that for next time. So yeah, periodically when we have board meetings, we go through the process of adding a member or a few members to either new committees that we're forming or existing standing committees. The reason this was added to the agenda is because we have 2 new board members, and one of them has expressed interest in joining the technical committee. This is Director Kuhnhart. And we may have interest from new or existing board members in other committees. So just as a reminder, our 2 standing committees are the executive committee and the technical committee. And then we have a number of ad hoc committees that have been formed for this year. One is the ad hoc contracts committee. We also have an ad hoc audit committee and an ad hoc bonding committee currently serving MCE. So at this time, it would be appropriate if there are any board members that would like to nominate themselves to be on a committee that they're not already on. And Director Kuhnhart, have you had a change of heart? Are you still interested in technical committee?
I wish I could think of an instantaneous song. I'm in, but I'm in.
I'm glad to have you on that committee. I'm always shilling to get people on the technical committee because I think it's the best.
Great. So that may be our only addition tonight.
It may be. Okay. All right.
And so we'll need a motion.
This is Kevin again. I just want to make sure you had all my expressions of interest already logged in here.
Yeah, Kevin, you are
I think you
actually on the ad hoc committees, all 3 ad hocs. So I think we've got that recorded, and the technical committee as well.
Just want to make sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody else wanting to take on extra work this evening? No?
I'll make a motion to appoint David Kuhnhart to the technical committee. This is Barbara Kohler in Fairfax.
And this is Denise.
I'll second that for
Otto, I'll
San
second it.
Anselmo.
So we have one person maker of the motion in 3 seconds. This is great.
Okay. Second, third, and fourth.
All right, Darlene, if you could disentangle that, that would be terrific. And let's do a roll call.
Darlene, I think you're muted.
And frozen.
No, Darlene is muted. There she goes.
Belvedere,
Yes.
Benicia,
Yes.
Concord,
Yes.
Contra Costa County, Corte Madera,
Yes.
Danville, El Cerrito,
Yes.
Fairfax,
Oh, yes?
Lafayette,
Yes.
Larkspur,
Yes.
County of Marin,
Yes.
Martinez, Moraga,
Yes.
County of Napa and all 5 Napa cities,
Yes.
Novato,
Yes.
Oakley,
Yes.
Pinole, Pittsburgh, Richmond,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
San Anselmo,
Yes.
San Pablo,
Yes.
San Rafael,
Yes.
San Ramon,
Yes.
Sausalito and Mill Valley,
Yes.
County of Solano,
Yes.
Tiburon, Walnut Creek.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darlene. All right, we now have 2 updates on our agenda, which I think is terrific. The first is on the resiliency program and the second on public affairs. And I think this is particularly good because it's been a while since we have gotten updates on either of these programs, and there's been a lot going on. So first is the resiliency program. Dawn, did you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I'm going to hand it over to Alice, who is our Director of Customer Programs. We're going to be hearing from Alice and also Jamie Tuckey, the Director of Strategic Initiatives, on this item. So Alice, you can take it away.
All right. Thanks, Dawn. Good evening, everyone. I am very happy to be here to provide an update on a topic that I think is top of mind for many of us right now heading into summer. I don't think anyone needs to be reminded that last year our communities experienced widespread massive power outages as a result of PG&E's PSPS shutoff events, which were a response to the devastating wildfires. However, these power outages threaten the safety, health, and welfare of our communities and disproportionately impact our vulnerable customers. In response to this, MCE is developing programs to help our communities be more energy resilient. Being energy resilient allows us to withstand disruptions in power supply, and it means keeping the electricity flowing even when the power coming from the grid is out. Next slide, please. Sorry, next slide. Thank you. We know, from hearing stories from our communities that many of our customers were forced to rely on diesel-fueled generators for backup power during last year's outages. And while those generators allowed our customers to meet some critical needs, and provide some essential services. They also have some negative impacts in terms of GHG emissions and local pollution. The pollution can be a trigger for asthma attacks and other health problems. So what we're really seeing is our customers making this difficult decision between wanting to keep the lights on and keep their services operational and wanting to support the health of the local community. So the solution that we're promoting is battery storage paired with local solar. And we're prepared to roll out a program to our customers this summer to install 15 megawatt hours of batteries over a 2-year period. This equates to roughly 400 to 500 customers. And you can see here it's broken out 9 megawatt hours of residential and 6 megawatt hours of commercial. We are considering this the first step of a much larger goal to install 5 times that amount over a 5-year period, so 70 megawatt hours over a 5-year period. This program will be implemented. We're partnering with TRC engineers to implement this program. Next slide, please. So some of the features of this program, we will have multiple battery installers participating in this program under the oversight of TRC. The batteries that we will be deploying will serve as backup power for our customers, which will allow our customers to continue to have power during outages, but it also will provide ongoing monthly bill savings for our customers. So the way that it achieves that is it allows the customer to use stored battery power on site during peak times, and they charge those batteries during off-peak times when rates are lower or from the solar that they have on site. The batteries will also be dispatchable by MCE, which means that we can use them to reduce our need to supply energy during peak times, and they will help with overall grid stabilization and congestion. The marketing for the program will be a partnership between MCE staff, TRC staff, and the trade allies or battery installers that are participating in the program. And the program also includes a workforce development component that will help train adults that have barriers to employment to be employed in the battery industry in the future. This program is funded from a couple of sources. The first being the $6 million resiliency fund that this board created. We also received a $750,000 grant from the Marin Community Foundation, which will support the installation of batteries at low affordable multifamily properties and nonprofit organizations that serve a social safety net function. And that grant covers a 2-year period. So we'll be installing batteries throughout that 2-year period. Our program is leveraging funds from the California Self-Generation Incentive Program, or SGIP. I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. And we're also exploring some potential for stimulus funding to support these projects. And I think Shalini is going to jump in a couple of slides to talk a little bit more about that.
Actually, Alice, I just wanted to jump in because it looks like we have someone who's raised their hand on Zoom, Aletta Dupree, who may be someone else.
Hi, I am Alita Dupree. I wanted to give public comment.
Okay.
There wasn't any kind of instructions given as to how to do public comment, so I'm going to mute myself, but I would like to know how I can be recognized and how much time I have for when my turn comes.
Alita, you'd have 3 minutes. Do you want to comment on this item, or did you wanted to comment on a different item?
Well, I was going to comment in public comment but I am interested in commenting on this specific item when my time is called.
Okay, terrific. Well, so we'll come back to you and get public comment after the presentations are completed, if that works for you.
Yes, all right, mute myself.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Alice.
All right, no problem. Next slide, please. So yeah, to talk a little bit more about the Marin Community Foundation grant, again, it's a $750,000 award from the Buck Family Fund, and we'll be supporting solar and storage installations at multifamily housing and social safety net nonprofits. And these projects will be enrolled in the MCE battery storage program, which means they'll be part of they'll be part of our fleet of dispatchable batteries. And then we are also working with Grid Alternatives to manage the multifamily housing component. They have extensive history with installing solar on affordable multifamily property. And so they are a good connection to that community. And this program will also help them train their staff and build out their skills for battery storage installation alongside the solar installation. And next slide. So the Self-Generation Incentive Program, this is a program that our installations will be also getting funding from. This is a CPUC statewide program implemented here through PG&E, and it provides rebates for customer-sited battery storage. There's about $500 million available from 2020 through 2024. It's available for both residential and non-residential customers at multiple incentive levels. Notably, there are adders for customers that qualify for equity or equity resiliency, which means they qualify based on income or the area that they are located in. And then the equity resiliency is they qualify for equity and then also have experienced 2 or more PSPS events or are located in a high fire threat district. The equity resiliency SCHIP tier approximately would pay for a battery installation, and the equity tier comes in at about 85% of the cost of a battery installation. And I think with that, Jamie is going to come up next and she'll talk a little bit more about the eligibility criteria for those tiers. But I think first I'll hand it off to Shalini, who's going to talk a little bit more about the stimulus funding.
Thanks, Alice. So we are looking for funds to build these critical facilities projects beyond the options that Alice outlined. So earlier this year, after the announcement of the governor's economic recovery task force was announced, we sent Tom Steyer's team a list of our MCE critical facilities. Since that time, we've all realized that the state is now facing a $54 billion shortfall. And I know many of you are seeing significant shortfalls in your city, town, and county budgets as well. Unfortunately, all the funds set aside for climate resiliency bonds for projects like this were pulled in the governor's latest budget due to this budget shortfall. So this really leaves us with seeking funding at a federal level. Now, the justification for this is that the funding would not only provide critical services, but it also would create jobs. The United States has lost almost 39 million jobs as a result of the COVID pandemic. And before the arrival of the COVID-19, nearly 3.4 Americans worked in clean energy, and that's about 3 times the workforce of the US fossil fuel industry. Unfortunately, since the pandemic struck, the US has lost 600,000 clean energy jobs, and with 105,000 of those clean energy jobs being in California, which means California is more impacted due to a loss of clean energy jobs than any other state in the country. So as a result, MCE has been reaching out to our congressional delegation to let our congressional delegation know that should there be another stimulus package that focuses on getting America back to work or infrastructure funds, that we very much would like to be considered for funding for our critical facilities, especially due to the continuing and ongoing threat of wildfires and power outages. So I'm happy to report that we've had a really great response from many of our delegation. Senator Feinstein's staff was the first to reach out, and we had a good conversation with them recently. We've also heard back from Senator Harris's office, as well as Congressman Huffman, Congressman Thompson, and Speaker Pelosi's office. We are continuing to work with our board members on reaching out to the rest of those folks. So thank you, Director Higgins, for the ping to your congressperson's staff. And I will probably be reaching out to some of you who might need to ping some of your Congress people as well. So that's really where we're at right now, and I'd be happy to take questions after the end of the presentation.
All right, thanks, Shalini. I'm gonna take it from here. Good evening, board. I'm Jamie Tuckey. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives. Really excited to be speaking to you all about this program, this energy storage program that we're going to be offering to customers. I know we all talk a lot about and realize how important it is for our communities to be safe and protected during the power shutoffs, and especially our vulnerable customers who are disproportionately impacted, and facilities that provide a critical service to our communities during power outages or other emergencies. As a result, MCE is going to be prioritizing critical facilities and vulnerable residential customers that already have solar installed on site for this program. As Alice indicated, we will be relying on a number of funding sources to help push these projects to the finish line. And one of the biggest ones is going to be that SGIP program that she mentioned earlier. I'll say the SGIP acronym again because acronyms sometimes are hard to remember, but SGIP stands for Self-Generation Incentive Program. And it's offered by the CPUC. So in order for us to maximize the SGIP funding, we're going to be following the same eligibility requirements for the SGIP Equity Resiliency Program. And just to reiterate, the Equity Resiliency Program is a newly created carve-out, and it provides incentives for on-site residential or non-residential storage systems, specifically for vulnerable customers in critical facilities that meet the criteria that we're going to go over. And it's intended to fully or nearly fully subsidize the installation of a storage program, of a storage system for those customer types. Next slide. So for critical facilities, we're talking, the eligible critical facilities are listed here in the first bullet. It's police and fire stations, emergency response providers and operation centers, medical facilities, jails and prisons, cooling centers, homeless shelters, grocery stores with annual revenue of less than $15 million a year, independent living centers, food banks, nonprofit organizations, and schools. So critical facilities that are listed here that are located in a tier 2 or 3 high fire threat district, or have experienced 2 or more public safety power shutoffs, and serve a state designated disadvantaged or low income community. So they can serve or be located in a disadvantaged community or low income community. Next slide. We've been working closely with our county Office of Emergency Services and Health and Human Service departments over the last few months to identify dozens of critical facilities throughout our service area that are in need of backup power. We've been collecting and adding these to a database of project leads that we'll use for this program. And we've also begun working with all of our member cities and towns as well to collect information about additional priority sites, about critical facility sites. And so this initial list that we've pulled together, we actually used already to submit an early request for stimulus funding in partnership with the San Jose CCA program. They pulled together a request for stimulus funding to support resiliency projects and invited us to join in on that request. So we were really glad that we had this list already pulled together so that we could join in on that. Next slide. In addition to the critical facilities, we know that we also, of course, want to help our residents, and the residents are going to make up the majority of this program, at least for the first portion of the program that we'll be deploying over the next 2 years. We'll be prioritizing our most vulnerable customers, and the criteria is listed here. So in addition to living in a home that's located in a tier 2 or 3 high fire threat district, or again, having experienced 2 or more public safety power shutoff events, our priority residential customers include those who are low-income multifamily renters located in disadvantaged communities, or in a deed-restricted unit, or in a building with 80% of household incomes that are less than 60% of the area median income. We're also going to be looking for low-income homeowners whose homes are subject to a resale restriction or they're under an equity sharing agreement. We're also considering customers who are participating in one of California's low-income solar programs. So you'll see a bunch of acronyms here. I apologize for that. Some of you may be familiar, but these acronyms represent the low-income solar programs across California. MASH is the multifamily affordable solar housing program. SASH is single family affordable solar housing. DAC-SASH is the same program for single family, but specifically in disadvantaged communities. And SOMA is solar on multifamily affordable housing. And then the last group of residential customers that we'll be prioritizing are medical baseline customers. And customers who are on medical baseline have a critical need for electricity in order to sustain their life. So they have a life-threatening illness or medical condition that requires the power to keep them safe. Next slide. I want to switch gears here just a little bit. So in addition to this new energy storage program that we're going to be launching this summer, we've also been pursuing other ways to support our community and increase our resiliency. So some of you probably remember and are familiar with this already, but a couple of months ago, the executive committee approved a $250,000 budget allocation from our $6 million resiliency fund to purchase 100 Yeti batteries. So we've gone ahead and ordered these batteries, and we'll be distributing them to low-income medical baseline customers this summer. We've been partnering with our local centers for independent living to coordinate this effort. They've been a really great partner for us. They're helping us to identify the customers who are in the most need and whose needs align with a battery of this size. So just to reemphasize, these are small portable batteries. 3 kilowatts is something that could charge a refrigerator, for a small refrigerator, for 1 to 2 days. So we want to make sure that we're giving these batteries to customers who have medical equipment with power needs that align with those sides, with the size of that battery. And so we're really fortunate to be working with the Centers for Independent Living on doing that, and we'll be distributing these batteries to our customers later this summer in 2020. Next slide. The last thing I wanted to mention is that we're really excited because we are also going to be installing 4 Tesla Powerwalls at our San Rafael office. Construction is scheduled to start this summer, and we're really looking forward to this project because it's going to allow us to offer an additional benefit to our communities. The Powerwalls will provide enough power to supply 2 of our EV chargers, which are open to the public, the lights in the parking lot, and some of the internal office lighting and device charging. Next slide. Okay, that's the last slide, but with that, I'm just going to say that I just want to close by saying how grateful we are that your board is leading the way with local resiliency. I know that this work is going to really bring forth some great economic and local workforce development opportunities. It's going to be creating safer communities and a lot cleaner and healthier by eliminating or reducing the need to operate the diesel generators and ensuring that our low-income customers and nonprofit or public sector organizations in disadvantaged communities or low-income communities have access to these clean and resilient storage resources. So thank you all so much for your support. I know you guys have done a lot to promote this work, and we can't wait to tell you where it goes from here and talk to you about getting these projects on the ground.
Great, thank you so much. Excellent presentation, and this is obviously really important work, and it's that much more important because I know that many of us are very concerned about the possibility of have power shutoffs at the same time that we're having a surge in the COVID-19 virus in communities, particularly in vulnerable communities. So this work only gets more critical, and it's exciting what these programs can accomplish. I'm going to start by asking if there's any comments or questions from board members, and then I'll go to the public.
This is Elizabeth Patterson. I have a question, which I think I've asked before, and that is on when we use the terminology disadvantaged community, there are 2 sources for that. One is the state regulations under Health and Human Services. And
it's too limited. We don't bother with that one, Elizabeth.
excellent.
Nah, don't worry.
Right, because it doesn't recognize rural areas in Northern California and so forth.
We don't have, it knocks all of us out. It's crazy. So yeah, don't worry. They got confused and they didn't do it quite right.
Agreed.
You have another
great program, and it's a nice presentation, and I'm really excited about it.
David.
I'm really proud of being a part of a group that's innovating in this way. But I have a question about the selection of critical facilities. You've listed a number of different criteria for selection. What's the punctuation between those criteria? In other words, does an applicant have to satisfy all or one of each of the criteria?
So it depends. So for the SCHIP equity resiliency, for the critical facilities, for example, there were 4 different criteria. And so one is that it falls into a specific type of critical facility, which I listed in bullet 1. It was like schools, police and fire stations. There's actually a lot of flexibility because a cooling center, for example, could be a critical facility, and a library could be a cooling center, or a community resource center, and really any space that can be open to the public could be designated as a community resource center. But for the equity resiliency SCHIP incentive, which pays for the full, or is intended to pay for the entire battery installation, the site also needs to meet the other requirements. So it is rather stringent, and those requirements are that they're in a tier 2 or 3 high fire threat district, or have had 2 or more public safety power shutoffs, and that the other one is that they're either located in or serving a state designated disadvantaged community or a low income community. And for the residential side, it's not quite as stringent. Like, you can be a low income renter for multifamily or a low income homeowner. So either one of those, or participating in one of those California solar programs, or a medical baseline customer. So it's any one of those, but it does also include the requirement of either being in a tier 2 or 3 high fire threat district, or have had 2 or more PS events. It's a mouthful, and I'm happy to go over.
You're saying all, so that an applicant might qualify under 1 or 2, but maybe not all of the criteria, and they should apply.
Yeah, and actually I should elaborate on that. So what I was just sharing was for what we had said, the equity resiliency criteria, but there are other levels of incentives that are available, and the eligibility criteria loosens for each of those levels. So does the amount of funding that's provided with it. We are going to be prioritizing customers initially that are eligible for the SCHIP equity resiliency, so the most stringent, but we also are we're open to considering sites that aren't eligible for that highest level of incentives as well. For example, with the critical facilities that we've collected, we have a really extensive list, and they're absolutely not all eligible for that requirement, but we're collecting them anyway because we can explore. I think there are going to be lots of different opportunities to explore with these sites, whether or not they meet all of those. And one example of that is requesting for stimulus funding or federal funding. So when we submitted that request with the San Jose CCA, we included all of those sites, and we requested funding for all of those sites, even though they didn't meet that criteria.
Other comments?
That answers your question.
Other comments or questions from board members?
I'm here. This is Eddie Bersan. I raised my hand under the device. I don't know if it shows.
Eddie. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
There's a large number of these facilities, and of course we have a large number of residents, both individuals and apartment houses. Now, you had mentioned in your presentation that you expect that the residential side is going to have a larger number. How are you guys deciding between, Mrs. O'Leary with that's on a an oxygen meter and, you know, Charlie Brown over there with a pacemaker, you know, or a 10-story or a 15 apartment complex that's 50% affordable as opposed to a 30 unit complex that's 60% affordable. I mean, how do you do in this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can take that one, Jamie. In addition, I mean, first we apply all of the criteria that Jamie just explained. And once you kind of layer all those on top, what we're really looking for, I mean, if we're talking residential, we're looking for customers that are in a threat zone, that have some kind of a medical need, that qualify on the income qualifications. So that kind of narrows the focus a little bit. And then, you know, we would love to do as many of these batteries installations as possible. There will be some other constraints that come into play around the home. Do they have existing solar? Is it under a lease structure? Is it, you know, are there restrictions with the condition of the home? So there's many other factors that I think will start to kind of filter out projects that are feasible for the short term for meeting the need, and ones that will require more of a long-term strategy to be able to bring them into the program.
Is there a committee and a point system, or how like I said, how is this actually finessed?
Oh yeah, so for our program and with SGIP, well, let me talk first just about the SGIP qualifications. So for each tier of SGIP, it's either on a first come, first serve basis, or if the program hits its capacity within a short amount of time, it goes to a lottery system. So that's happened in the past. It's happened recently, and there'll be another tranche of funding being opened up in August. So one function we have is just getting our customers in that queue or into the lottery system when they do the lottery. Beyond that, just speaking to some of the other aspects of our program. So we have a few kind of special carve outs, and one is the project with the Marin Community Foundation. So for the social safety net nonprofits, we'll be putting up a list of criteria on our website and having an open call where we'll be doing outreach to bring in those nonprofit organizations, and you know, being really transparent about that criteria that we'll be using to rank them. A lot of it that's in addition to what Janie was talking about comes down to just the feasibility criteria, like how feasible economically is it, how feasible is it from just the ownership structure of the property or the condition of the property. And then, you know, if our pipeline is full from that open period, we'll go from there. And if not, we'll continue on a rolling basis to accept interest forms and applications.
Okay. Other questions or comments from board members? All right, I'm not seeing anyone, so I'm going to open this up for public comment. And Alita Dupre, I'm coming to you if you would like to comment on this item.
Yes, thank you, persons here. Alita Dupree for the record. My first time at this meeting, and I'm going to speak about the item. You know, I was in Oakland in late October of last year, and I had to cut my time short because of the power shutoffs. I'd never seen that before, so it's very personal to me. And I remember still the New York City blackout of 1977. And I read a story about somebody in California who died as a result of the power getting shut off. So what you're doing here is the beginning of something very important and at a national example. And I know what it's like for the lights to go out. And I don't want people to have to resort to candles or to resort to running stoves or barbecue grills or other makeshift have disastrous consequences. So electricity is very basic, and everyone should be able to access it 24/7. And this agency is taking the lead by saying more than just sell you kilowatt hours. So I'm looking forward to this investment being made, I did get to see one of those Yeti batteries. I think it was a Yeti battery in an REI store, kilowatt hours, familiar to me. So I would ask that we can go forward with this some plans and grow so that way we don't have to be so worried when the power goes out, because you're helping to keep the power from going out. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Alita, was there another comment that you wanted to make in open time that I missed your being present for?
Yeah, I just wanted to do a little bit of general public comment, which I can keep brief. Yeah, I go to a lot of Zoom meetings, and there are different protocols in Zoom meetings about hand raising and formats. But anyway, I've actually been on the mailing list of this agency for 10 years. And so the CCA movement is very, very important to me. And I've always believed in public power. I got my first to public power in when I bought myself a ride on the New York City subway, which is the New York Power Authority public agency. And the subway is one of the big users of electricity in New York. And so the journey has just gone from there. So read about you're at 60% on your economy class of service, and that you're working really hard, as difficult as it is, to keep power rates under control. I've said to myself for many years, this is the conversation that I want to be a part of through the public comment process, and seeing your national example as being really one of the first in this movement. I've never been to your meetings before because I get to Marin County much, especially at night. So Zoom is changing the game for me because all over the place. So my general public comment, and I look forward to continuing to see the work that you're doing to advance the conversation, in which you're giving us much more added value, simply selling us some kilowatt hours. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to comment on this item? All right, I'm not seeing or hearing anyone. Okay, any final board comments? All right, great, super. Thanks, everyone. We are going to move on to our next discussion item, which is a public affairs update.
Yeah, and we're going to be hearing from Heather Shepard, who is our Director of Public Affairs.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I think I've got a couple slides as well. I'll keep it brief, but just a quick intro. I think most of you know me, but I oversee MCE's customer and community facing teams. So that covers our customer service, our marketing, and community engagement. So it's got a few functions under that. And you can go to the next slide. What I wanted to share tonight are just kind of some highlights of what we've been doing. And I think hopefully you'll be pleased to see some of the things that we're doing. I would say, you know, the main takeaway is we're really making good progress even during shelter in place. And I wanted to share with everyone tonight just some of what those areas of focus are. And I think that, Alita, you brought up a good point in your comments. So it really resonated with me. And I think that, you know, this is not just an opportunity to replace what we are doing in person with virtual or digital. It's actually really been a great opportunity for the public affairs team in particular to really enhance and amplify what that means to be virtually or digitally engaged. And I would agree too, we've noticed when we get to the slide to talk about some of our community enrollment meetings, it's now possible that others can participate, because often, you know, you have one community event and it might not be at a time that's convenient. So I think that there's new opportunities that this crazy time affords us, and I really feel like we are making the most of those. So what I want to share today is really that virtual community engagement is going strong. Our local advertising campaign was launched. This is something that we talked about doing last year at the board retreat as one of our priorities for this year. And we are doing a great job increasing content about MCE, what we offer to customers, why it's important to the community. And so as Dawn mentioned in her comments, some of the blog posts And some of the other efforts we're doing, I think, are really helping, and there's going to be more to come. And then lastly, tonight, I want to cover a little bit of some of the customer engagement that we're doing around our programs in addition to resiliency. And I've invited Alice to share this podium with me at the end because we've got some great things going in addition to the resiliency programs, but also just to kind of highlight that we're really collaborative at MCE, and a lot of these efforts are coming forth because of just some great collaboration. So I just wanted to note that. So we can go to the next slide, Enya. So first up is just a quick update on our Solano County new customer enrollment. We're at about 92% participation rate. So that means that a very small percent of customers have chosen to opt out or go back to PG&E service. So that tracks pretty closely to what we experienced with Contra Costa County enrollment. It might go down just a tad, but I think we're going to settle out sort of in the low 90s, and I think that's fantastic. I wanted to highlight here, and really thanks to Director Vasquez and support from his staff to make this happen, because we had planned to do a bunch of in-person community meetings and had spent a lot of time organizing that, and then we pivoted to virtual really rather quickly and very successfully. And I really want to thank you, Director Vasquez, because your staff was really helpful in making that happen. So we've got 5 of those meetings done. Actually, we might even have 6 by now. And we've got a lot of folks viewing the recorded meetings on Facebook. We have a dedicated spot on our website for those new customers that need just a little extra information about what does this mean that I'm now part of MCE. And so we've made those recordings available. And I just wanted to highlight here, lastly, I think this is something that we've had the ability to do more of. And I think this is a great foundation for the enrollment that we'll be doing with Pleasant Hill and Vallejo next spring. But we've done a lot of proactive customer relationship building. And that includes not just large customers, but those are, you know, a Farm Bureau, business chambers, really groups that are very engaged in this and care a lot about energy, clean energy, and those sort of community benefits we offer. And again, thank you to Director Vasquez's team for helping with that. And so in addition to some of the more traditional community meetings that we do, we've also started to host breakfasts for some of these more visible stakeholders and make some space for them. And then in turn, they really become those community ambassadors that you always need throughout all of your work and can become future Community Power Coalition members. So it's really fantastic what the team has done. And I think it's been really successful. So we can move on to the next slide. So just pivoting here just to give you a taste of some of the advertising that we've done. So what you see here are just some examples of some of the ads that appeared in local papers. And then down below are just some examples of some of the digital banner ads that you'd see. And so on those digital banner ads, that would click folks over to our website to find out more. And so the first 2 themes, we celebrated Earth Day in April, and then in May, we launched a series on celebrating our 10 years of impact. What you'll see throughout the year is us really, it is a brand building opportunity, but I think that we are really using this to really get more folks participating in programs, to be aware of all that we offer, really to make sure that they see MCE as a community resource and a partner, and really just to strengthen that customer and community engagement that we do on lots of other channels, but we kind of want to bring it out a little bit more. So you'll be seeing some more of those ads, and we're really excited that we got that started. You can go to the next slide, please. So just a couple other things that we're doing around amplifying digital content. So we've made it possible now for community partners to easily add events on our site. So the goal is, if you have a community member coming in, say from Solano, Contra Costa, wherever, and they want to see what's MCE doing in my community, but there's also community groups that already exist outside of MCE, and we want to give them a platform to share relevant events with the public. So there's a little simple form on our website, and we've also communicated this to you in the monthly board communications, but I just wanted to throw that out as an enhancement. I think that's going to be really important going forward. So if people come to our site, it feels a little bit more of a destination, like what can I learn about all the community and sustainability events that are going on. As Dawn mentioned, we're doing a lot more blog posts on a lot of these really critical topics: resiliency, community partners, energy affordability. We'll be highlighting change makers in our community, in addition to obviously McGlashan Award winners, but folks that really are instrumental on an everyday basis in making a difference. And so that will be also another way to highlight that engagement and to thank them for the work that they're doing, because it really is, it really requires all of those efforts. And then I also just wanted to highlight that we're trying to do a stronger job just on identifying what is shareable content for you. I know some of you have your own community newsletters, and so we want to really encourage you to look for that shareable content when we send out those monthly board updates. And that's really intended for you to just be able to cut and paste and dump it right into your other outreach that you're doing without having to do a lot of extra formatting. So those are just some examples where we're trying to make it easy for folks to connect to us and for you to share what we're up to. And then next slide, please. The next couple of slides really are talking a little bit more about some of our customer engagement. So I wanted to these are programs that we've had going for a while, and I just wanted to highlight these because it's an example of what we've been able to continue to do even with shelter in place and some other constraints. So we've had a strategic energy management program going since last year, and we just successfully enrolled our second cohort. This is a partnership between Alice's team, the customer programs team, and our community and customer engagement team. And that's been a great example. We've got over 1% of our load, those customers represent over 1% of our load enrolled in that program. And so that's just another way for customers to just see even more value, right? So whether it's the energy product that they choose, but we're bringing programs to them that are really meaningful to their operations and really helping them manage energy in an innovative way. And so that's been going quite well. Deep Green continues to go, as you saw from some of our community power awards. We continue to have opt-ups. I want to do a shout out to Contra Costa County because they voted recently to opt up their non-solar accounts to Deep Green next year. So again, community leadership, thank you. And we have a lot of advocates who really want to help promote Deep Green, and we've done more to create a toolkit that again is very easy for those community partners to then go and disseminate in their communities for folks that want more information about how they can kind of go to that next level. We have also been working on increasing our member diversity in our Community Power Coalition. So I just wanted to do a special welcome to Canal Alliance and Puertas Abiertas who joined our last meeting, and that was great. And we also did a lot of proactive outreach for net energy metering customers. We made some program tweaks last fall, and those were implemented this spring during the regular time that we do a cash out process for customers. And since there were some changes to the program, municipal customers had also sort of a slightly different treatment. We really felt it was important to do proactive outreach and didn't want folks just to get something in the mail. So we went ahead and did that. And we can go to the next slide. Almost done here. I also just wanted to highlight, because I think that there's so many things that we bring to the table in our communities, and I just wanted everyone to understand that we're really touching folks in a lot of different ways from these different programs. So here's some other things that we've been able to continue to do during shelter in place. So as Dawn mentioned, we are really promoting free charging at our site, and we put together a mini campaign to let folks know about that. That's going to continue to be important during power shutoffs. We are continuing to sponsor events, even though a lot of those events have moved to virtual. That's really important to us to support our local small business community and our chambers. And we're really trying to promote that for them. So that's something that we've really kicked up a notch. And then I just wanted to highlight, Dawn had also mentioned this just on some of the shelter in place effects that we're seeing. We are seeing that increased usage from residential customers, and some reduced usage, although it's sort of flattening out on the non-residential side. And as Dawn mentioned, we're about 5 to 8% is what we're seeing. And we are seeing an uptick though in some industries like wine, a go-to coping mechanism perhaps for some folks, but and then obviously, connected to them in terms of, I know worker safety is really an important priority. So those are some of our customer engagement activities that we've been able to continue going strong on, I'm going to switch over here to highlight a very exciting program that we just are launching this week, and hand it over to Alice. And then the last slide after that, we're going to share. So Anu, if you want to go to the next slide, I will mute myself for a second and let Alice talk about this program.
Thank you, Heather. So what you are seeing here on the screen is a mailer that went out to about 70,000 of our residential customers, either via mail or via email, as part of our newest residential energy efficiency program. This report uses our customers' energy usage data to give them insights into how they're using energy, ways that they can save money and save energy in their home. Some of you who have been around for a little while may remember that about 4 or 5 years ago, we had a similar program where we sent information to our customers on how they use energy. What is new and improved about this version is really the data that's powering it. So we used to base our reports on monthly usage data, and with all of the advancements that we've made internally and how we're able to access and use data, these reports use actual interval, so much more granular data, which means that the insights that we're providing customers are more applicable and more useful. And yeah, we're really excited about this. The other thing that's innovative about this program from sort of the business contracting side is as part of a movement that's going on in energy efficiency now, we were able to we actually pay for the service of energy efficiency through these reports. So we work with a partner to deliver these reports, and we actually pay based on the energy savings that we measure at the meter from our customers who are receiving these reports. So yeah, again, this went out today, and really excited about it. And I'll go to the next slide and talk about just a couple bullets before handing it back to Heather. So a few other projects that are coming up in the pipeline, transportation electrification. We have been working towards rolling our own EV charging station incentive program into a statewide program called Cal EVIP that the California Energy Commission runs. If we were accepted into that program, there would be matching funds from the CEC that would help leverage and bolster the investment that MCE has made. Unfortunately, the approval for that program has been a little bit wrapped up in the statewide budgeting process, so we will be looking for a decision on that a little bit later this year, probably Q3 as opposed to the summer. The resiliency program, probably don't need to say too much about that since we presented earlier, although we are kicking off our marketing and customer engagement activities there. And then the next one is a program that we have filed an implementation advice letter for with the CPUC and are awaiting approval. And once we get that approval, we'll be ready to launch. This is the Disadvantaged Community Green Tariff and Community Solar Green Tariff programs. These are programs that allow us to enroll income qualified customers in our service area into a local solar project. So very similar to our local SOL offering, but we have a little additional funding through the CPUC to support both the development of that local solar project and giving our low income customers the opportunity to enroll in that project. And with that, they get a 20% discount on their energy bill. And that's actually in addition to CARE if they're already on a CARE rate. So we are eagerly awaiting approval of that program, and we'll be ready to go with that.
Thanks, Alice. So I'll just end to highlight a couple things that we're going to kickstart this summer. So as Dawn mentioned, we'll be welcoming new board members from Vallejo and Pleasant Hill, and we'll be kicking off the enrollment planning this summer, even for next spring. There's a lot of noticing that happens, and I think especially given shelter in place or social distancing, we really want to make sure that we are comprehensive and have maybe a flexible approach to that enrollment. We'll be inviting, I believe it will be high 60,000, maybe 67,000 accounts will be coming online next spring from those two communities. So we're really excited, and that planning takes 6 to 9 months. So we'll be getting started this summer. And then as Dawn mentioned, we will still continue to celebrate our 10 years of service. There's some other things we can do in lieu of having a physical event in September. So we'll keep you posted on that. We have a long list of great options, so it's going to still feel very celebratory, and the goal would be every month there's things that we're doing to celebrate, so it's not just sort of a one and done event. So those are just some of the things that we've been working on. I'm happy to take any questions, but that's the end of the presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Heather and Alice. Terrific presentation. Any questions or comments from board members?
Yeah, this is Kevin Harrell from Larkspur. Heather, could you go back a couple of slides, or have you disconnected the slide deck?
Give me one moment, I will reconnect.
Thanks.
Which slide, Director Harrop, were you looking at?
Well, there were two actually.
Okay.
There was the one that we can talk about first, which is the one where you're referencing the outreach to chambers of commerce.
Sure. Okay. That is the local business one. Yep. The shelter-in-place customer engagement highlights. I know if you see that one. I think it's 3 back.
Yep,
Or
there it is.
7 forward. Keep going.
Wait.
Here we go.
Yeah, keep going. And actually, there's the one right before that too.
Go backwards just a couple, Enyo. Go back. There we go.
Yeah, there was that. And the only reason I wanted to bring it back to it is I'm very excited about the opportunity to have MCE engage with local chambers of commerce. Here in Larkspur, I'm now actually on the board of our local chamber of commerce, so I'm trying to make that happen, or make that function a little bit better. So anything we can do to really reach out to our chambers of commerce and integrate with what you're trying to accomplish with what we're trying to accomplish in supporting our local business community is really important. So I'd be happy to talk to you offline, but I was just really happy to see that in the slide deck. I thought that was really quite nice. And then there's the slide right before that one, I think. Yeah. So the other thing that was exciting to see, because I thought this was actually the best slide of the whole slide deck, which is the opportunity to be engaging with, particularly with larger energy users. And the more we can really go forward with that, I really think it's great. I don't think this is an appropriate time to talk about individual issues with individual energy users, but I'd be really delighted to talk about that offline as well. I think it's a great opportunity for us to expand our business model. So that's it.
No, thank you for those comments, and we will welcome your feedback and partnership, and we will absolutely follow up. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I might be happy to have a longer conversation.
Super. Any other comments or questions from board members? All right, seeing no one, I'm going to, oh, sorry, David. Yeah, please.
A quick comment. Thanks to Sebastian Cohn, the newest employee of Heather's. We have 3 large banners going up in Corte Madera saying opt up to Deep Green and giving the website name and Deep Green 100% renewable. Those banners are old school. It's not all virtual, but I think they're going to be very strategically located in prominent places in town. And I know that they're very attractive, I think, and they'll be available to others once we're done with them in a few weeks.
Great. That's terrific. Anyone else? All right. Seeing none, I'm going to open this up for public comment. Alita Dupree, did you want to make a comment? You don't have to, but you're welcome.
Well, thank you. Just briefly, this is very good. I wish out there was more engagement because there are a lot of opportunities in manage your electricity use, and I'm all to learn new things because electricity costs money. So free charging cars. I hope that all cars will be electric someday, and we can charge them with locally produced instead of burning gasoline. So I look forward to seeing the continued work in this area. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to comment on this item? I am not aware of anybody else. All right. So, barring any further comment by board members, I think we have reached the end of our agenda, unless there's board or staff matters that anyone would like to bring up before we adjourn. No, everyone would like to adjourn. All right. Yeah, Brad's for that. Okay, very good. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you being here. Have a good evening. Stay safe and healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, MCE.